All right, welcome back to Overcome Babylon, guys. Look, I want to get into this straight away. Leviathan has been discovered. This is something that I recently just covered on a live stream. You may have seen it, maybe you didn't, but I just want to get into this straight away because of just how big of a discovery this really is. Again, this is, just from Google Earth, okay? Anybody can do this at any time. Right below South America, excuse me, if you go right here to the very, very tip, Chile, Argentina, right there, in between Antarctica and Chile and Argentina, you have the face of what appears to be a dragon, a snake, a serpent, and I'm gonna break this down a lot. Actually, I have a special guest joining me right now. He's gonna also shed some light on this. And you can see the eye sockets, you can see the nostrils, you can see the mouth. This is a massive, massive creature around what appears to be, from Google Earth, which I'm going to talk about the problems with Google Earth in a moment, around the bottom of the Earth. But really, in reality, that's not the case. I'm going to break that down more. But the reason I'm saying that this is, in fact, the Leviathan of Scriptures, which is super huge, okay, this is massive, is because of something that happened on April 8th, which, as you can see, yes, it is the April 8th solar eclipse that I'm referring to in the upper right-hand corner right there on the thumbnail. This is massive, okay? So when you go to Job chapter 41, it's all about Leviathan. Job chapter 41. It's like, it's such a large creature, you can't pull it with a hook or a fishing line, right? It's too big. You can't you can't wrestle this thing. It's too large. Okay? Isaiah chapter 27 verse 1. There's a day coming after judgment, after a lot of bad stuff happens on the earth, that it says the Lord Yehovah will actually slay the reptile that is in the sea, and it's referring explicitly to Leviathan, a reptile that is in the sea. And I've always looked at these verses in times past, and I'm like, well, I have no idea what they're talking about. Honestly, it's one of the secrets of the universe, which is what we're talking about right now, right? In this video. It's one of the secrets of the universe. But it just so happens that Job chapter 3 gives us the secret. It gives us the clue. A certain day that is actually cursed. You need to curse this day, is what Job is saying. It's going to be a cursed day, basically. There's an evil day coming when Leviathan is aroused. May those curse it who curse the day, those who are ready to arouse Leviathan. So when Leviathan is aroused, Job, one of the most righteous men of all time, alongside Daniel and Noah, we're being told this righteous man in his prophetic words is telling us, hey, this is a really big deal. Watch out. And like I said, anybody can do this. You can do this right now. You can go to Google Earth. You'll see the face of a snake. Now, it would be no big deal. Maybe it would just be an anomaly, or yeah, maybe it looks like that on satellite images, but there's in fact something that happened that brought the scriptures to life on April 8th. And check this clip out if you haven't seen it already. It's really massive. I'm going to play a clip right here.
Something big happened in Antarctica that caused waves 25 meters high. There's something strange in the water right now outside of South Africa. People are saying that this surfaced and it came from the direction of Antarctica, and now it is larger than the size of Texas. Why isn't everyone talking about this? Take a look at this. So this is the size of this thing. Nobody knows what it is. It's an anomaly. Can't be explained. And there's a projection that shows it moving over the last few days. It popped up, then disappeared, and it reappeared again. And now it's right off the half of the Africa. And it's larger than the state of Texas.
So I'm just going to pause it there, but if you can just see what direction it came from exactly where I'm showing you here on Google Earth. It came right from basically the southeastern part of South America. It's almost as if it breathed and caused a tsunami, or it moved and caused a tsunami. You see what I'm saying? It's almost as if Leviathan is being aroused. This is massive. I'm so glad that I was able to cover this because somebody brought it to my attention, and that somebody joins me now. Jeff Fletcher. How are you doing, brother?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me back. Hopefully you don't have any more technical issues.
Yes, so I wanted to have Jeff to do a quick video with me, guys, because we lost connection when we were live on Friday night, just a couple days ago now. And it was really, we had so much that we wanted to share regarding the secrets of the universe. This is one of them. This is so massive. Definitely there's been a lot of conspiracy-related channels on TikTok, a lot of secular opinions as to the anomaly of April 8th, where you literally had, like the guy said, 25-meter high waves, like massive tsunamis. apparently, I mean, we don't really know exactly what they were. They were picked up by different technology, different buoys out in the ocean, measured the disruption of the waves and everything, and that's what those readings that you saw on the Earth on the Google Earth imagery was. But Jeff, speak to that. I mean, we've heard a lot of secular people covering this, and that's why we're making such a big deal about it, because the biblical analysis has been missing from the community. No one's really talked about it, in my opinion. I know people will disagree with that. They always disagree with me when I say that, but I'm just not seeing any biblical analysts talk about it. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I see a lot of this footage on TikTok. That's actually somebody sent it to me through a TikTok video. So that's where I originally consumed the information myself. But yeah, it was not a biblical perspective at all. So when I look at that thing, I know exactly what I'm looking at, and it's not an anomaly. You know, there is something that's come from Antarctica, and we're going to get into exactly what it is. But you can see the weather and look at the areas where the anomaly approached on the coast of Africa and in South Africa. And around the time where that anomaly was on the radar, the weather was going absolutely bonkers, and people were going crazy. So you should look and see the flooding in India and when the anomaly passed through. Just a lot of terrible things happening in response to that anomaly. So
yeah, and all kinds of people covered it, guys.
There. It's not just a fake item on the radar.
A lot of people covered it. This guy, he's like, hey, what is this? I have no idea. His name's called Made a Cowboy. No, there's a bunch of other ones, okay? A bunch of other TikTokers and stuff. They're like, what is this? What is this? This is just, like, this isn't a religious topic necessarily, right? It's just a secular thing. Like, something happened. It just so happens that there's extreme biblical analysis associated with this. And so yeah, Brother Jeff, I don't know what you want to jump into next. We have a lot to talk about, guys. Secrets of the Universe. This really segues into a lot of other topics for us to discuss, and I think it's really going to open your eyes to creation, how the universe really works, as opposed to the lies that we've been told. And it's gonna really elevate your consciousness when it comes to understanding the Bible and really seeing the Bible for what it is, and not what the corporate 501c3 church system has told you that it is, right?
Yeah, so get ready to get red pilled. Today's that day. I mean, there's going to be some things that you're shown today that if you're not ready for, I will warn you, it's definitely stuff that most people consider out there. If you look at the comments from the video we did on the live from Friday, there's a lot of people almost angry that we even mentioned flat Earth, and people were kind of really vocal about that on some of the comments. And I understand. I used to be one of those people. I want everyone to understand. I grew up with the heliocentric model of the universe understanding as well. I was brainwashed and I thought it was real. And I just had to look into it just a little bit, and I saw the mark of the beast all over the math behind it. It's Jesuit math. And what you'll find out today is even the people that came up with it, they don't believe in it. They know it's a scam, and they're showing it to you to keep you blindfolded from understanding, to see the creator and not really understand the creation. And in doing that, you miss the whole big picture. And that's the key to understanding it all. And we're going to show you a model of the universe later in this video that's going to blow this wide open and prove to you what the Freemasons are actually believing, and what the elite are actually. Look, it's like I said, and like Abraham said perfectly before, it's hidden secrets of the universe. And go ahead, Abraham.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to mention on screen here, if you guys missed it, Jeff and I, we did a video together, live stream. It was I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite live streams ever. Talking about, hey, we're warning about July 7th, Cascadia, New Madrid, and La Palma. Go check that out if you didn't get a chance to watch that yet. And I just want to remind you guys that why is all this important, right? Before we go any further, why is it important that we talk about the type of things we're talking about? In Matthew 24, he said specifically, one of his disciples said, hey, what's the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? Matthew 24:3. And he said, take heed that no one deceives you. So the number one thing, and the whole reason we're doing this, is so that God's people will not be deceived, because there is nothing but deception out there. The prophet Jeremiah prophesied that at the last days, at the end of days, all of the nations will come from the end of the earth and say to God, we have inherited nothing but lies, worthlessness, and unprofitable things from our fathers. I believe it's from Jeremiah chapter 16. I don't remember it off the top of my head exactly, but this is a big problem. Take heed that no one deceives you. That's the first thing he says about the end of the age, which we're living in right now. And with that said, guys, look, Jeff mentioned it just a moment ago. The model of the universe, if you go to Genesis chapter 1, it's just not what they've told us, okay? There's one Haaretz, there's one Earth. There's not multiple Haaretz, right? You can't land on the planet Mars because Mars is a star. There's only one Haaretz under our feet. There's only one dirt or land. There are seas, but there aren't Haaretz. There aren't lands floating in the sky, right? Floating in the universe, galaxies and galaxies of planets and stars and all these things. This is just not what the Bible teaches us. And so, Jeff, I want you to speak on this. I want you to get into some more of the analysis here with the ice wall, with some of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, one of the things I will say about this is, you can get as scientific as you want and make up all the different statistics, and even Health Ranger will do it. It's funny when they try to explain how a spinning globe is whipping around the universe, and how all this stuff works, and you can still see the same patterns in the sky of the stars and constellations. They're all there every night. We see them, and yet we're still all whipping through the universe at breakneck speeds. And somehow the water still stays on adhered to the globe and doesn't fly. I mean, all the laws of physics are just thrown completely out as we know them. I mean, because they made it up, and I can prove it. You can look at the statistics and look at the heliocentric model of the universe created by Copernicus, and really put a stamp on it on Galileo, who was tried for heresy, like I said. And when you look at how he was tried for heresy, he just had a slap on the hand. What they were doing was just sort of delivering a learning against learning theory so that they could keep people asleep and not really understand the creation. So if you look at a couple of statistics, you can see the mark of the beast is all over the heliocentric model of the universe. How fast around the sun? 666,
right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
600 miles an hour is what they put. And you can Google it and say, no, you're wrong. I Googled it. 70,000. Well, Google just rounded up, guys. That doesn't prove anything. You can look at the original math and look at the original work from Copernicus and Galileo. It's 66,600 miles an hour. That's not the only thing. Look at the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn. It's 23.4 degrees. If you take 90 minus 23.4, you get 66.6. That's exactly what the intention was, is to actually put the mark of the beast, mathematics, and numerology in all of the model. In the entire model. So that's how you can really see the mark of the beast, and that's how you know it's a lie. And anytime you see that, you're supposed to know. That's why they gave it to us. That's why John Revelator gave us that number, so that we could see the work of the devil and the signature of the devil.
Yeah, Jeff, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just the 66,600 miles an hour. Is that how fast the globe is spinning, or how fast it's orbiting around the sun, according to these?
How fast it's orbiting around the sun is what they have it. It has something like 1,000 miles an hour as it's rotating or something. I can't remember what they said. I kind of didn't pay any attention to anything other than the mark of the beast numerology. When I saw that, I knew it was all just a big scam. And then you go back and look into how they faked the moon landing. Throw all that stuff out the window. It's all done from Hollywood. And it's all just, I mean, you can look into it yourself. You can see all the spacewalks and how ridiculous they were in the 50s, late 50s and 60s, when they were doing their fake, spacewalks and things. They're really ridiculous, done with piano wires. It looks like something from the Three Stooges. And you have this really grainy camera behind it. You can't see much. And nowadays, it's all done underwater. And that's why you can see the conspiracy theorists firing out to all of the Freemason astronauts who are going to these events and talking about their experiences in space. And they say, where are all the space bubbles? What is that? There are no bubbles in space. I mean, so
guys,
ridiculous assertion.
Yeah, bubbles will be coming off of astronaut suits because they're filming underwater. This is very well known, very well documented that this is an anomaly with all their filming. Now, I should share this story, Jeff, because I told you this story privately. I've never shared this story with anyone before, but I used to live in New Orleans. I've mentioned that actually in our last live stream. And around 2015, 2014, when I was there, they were filming the new Jurassic World movie at the time, okay? And what I didn't know, and what a lot of people told me, like, oh yeah, man, New Orleans is the Hollywood of the South. And I was like, really? I had no clue. So I decided, hey, I saw a Craigslist ad, and they're like hiring extras for Jurassic World. So I was like, cool. Let me see if they like me. I'll apply and send my photo, my resume, all yada. Well, I got selected to be an extra in Jurassic World. And I kid you not, they used an old NASA base. My badge, they gave me a little badge, and it had the NASA logo on it. Welcome to, I forget the name of the NASA installation that was there. when I showed it was so big, right? So they actually shuttle bussed us around to the different movie sets and stuff like that. When we got to the Jurassic World movie set, I was so blown away. I was like, wow, these are the biggest green screens. It felt like you're at a baseball stadium, not quite like, a massive, massive like college football stadium, but it's like a, minor league or major league baseball stadium with big old green screens. And they had a few of them set up. One was doing the Terminator at the time. There's a Terminator movie that was coming out. And it's funny, Jeff. I mentioned this to you, and I could not stop laughing because I was like, yeah, it's so weird that they repurposed an old NASA facility to be used for Hollywood movies and Hollywood entertainment. What'd you say, brother? It was so hilarious.
Well, that makes perfect sense because all the work that NASA does is Hollywood, film production, nothing more.
And I had never put the pieces together. I was like, wait a minute. I literally saw green screens at an old NASA base that they repurposed for Hollywood. Of course they would. It's like they're using the same equipment. Why wouldn't they repurpose a bunch of big green screens, expensive audio equipment, lighting, camera, everything?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was hilarious. I never made the connection until I had the conversation with you. I was like, oh, I had a big epiphany. I was like, no way. And then the Red Hot Chili Peppers, aren't they the band that said, the moon landing, of course it was fake. It was filmed in a Hollywood basement.
Chili Peppers.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers, literally, when they received an award, this was years and years ago, they literally said, we want to thank Satan for giving us the ability to produce our music. And so it's all connected.
Wow. I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank Satan. I'd like to thank Louis Armstrong. Satan.
But yeah, brother, speak to what else? Where do you want to go next right now? Because we have.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. So, maybe we should just kind of jump into, let's talk about earthquakes.
Let's talk about, let's talk about earthquakes and the scientist here. The wide-eyed scientist guy. We really like his work on TikTok.
Yeah, these guys are secularists. I found this guy too on TikTok, and he was he understands what's about to happen, and he kind of coins it as a cycle that happens every like 3,500 years. But I think what he's not understanding is the reason it happens, and not just happenstance that happens every 3,500 years in cycles. It's more of a sinful cause and effect relationship between the sinful behavior of man that does happen in cycles, absolutely, but not just because they happen because of falling out of the grace with God and Yahweh.
Yeah, man, and real quick too, before we play that clip, because I want to get into the earthquake stuff, I keep bringing this one up, man. When Cyrus Harding was on the podcast, former NSA linguist, very, very intelligent man, he talked about this being the Leviathan 2024. And one thing that's so if you're wondering where this image is from, I actually made this image myself. I illustrated it, and it's inside Bible Prophecy Secrets. You go to Appendix A at the very back of the book, you'll find this and other information about the true nature of the universe. In fact, some of the things we're talking about today, I've already covered inside the book, guys. You can download it for free. There's a link in the description. Seriously, download Bible Prophecy Secrets 2. And down there, you're going to find how solar eclipses really work, how they really interact, how it really works as opposed to what they've told us that it is. In fact, the word eclipse is kind of the way that you would think of it with the moon and the sun eclipsing each other. That's a bunch of nonsense, okay? I explain it from an extremely scientific point of view, straight to the point. But let's talk earthquakes. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say too, in my illustration here, sadly, I forgot to include the Leviathan around the ice wall. So I should have drawn its head and a little cross section of its body there.
That would have been a nice touch.
Because right? Because it encircles the whole entire Earth. But hey, these things are developing as we live life, and a book really is just a snapshot at a particular point in time of someone's knowledge. That's all a book is. So
yeah. Can I jump in real quick to speak to just what planets are, since you mentioned it before? And a lot of people might get confused about that because you said they were stars and they're not actually balls that you can land on, balls of rock that you can land on that are floating around in outer space. What those are is there's no in the Bible, and if you look at the way Scripture describes these stars, and in ancient antiquity, they never really called a planet anything different than a star. They were all considered stars. Really, the difference is a planet, as they call it in science, actually reflects light. It doesn't give light. Where we call a star, an actual star, it twinkles when you see it in the sky. So if it twinkles at night, then it gives light. And so what a planet is a fallen star. And the 7 planets, the original 7 planets that we identified, and that since antiquity, all of our ancestors identified, and every civilization had seen in the sky, they knew those as the watchmen or the wandering stars that always kind of hovered around the earth. So those were the fallen angels that came down. They no longer give light, and that's why a planet reflects light like the moon, and a star gives light and twinkles at night. I hope that helps.
You know, it does, because I've never heard that explanation for it, but it's a very valid one. Because they are lights, right? You take a look at Genesis 1:14. There are lights in the firmament. There's only one haaretz, right? Genesis 1:1. You look at these things, and it's very, very crystal clear. It says that he didn't create multiple earths, right? I know that's super basic, but like, if the devil can make you think that Genesis, especially the book of Genesis, but Genesis 1, this or that or this false idea, he's got you for the rest of the Bible, because you're going to take everything like figuratively, and if you got to take it literally. It says heavens, hashamayim, and haaretz, one earth. That's all there is. It's not multiple earths, multiple planets of dirt.
Amen.
So yeah, brother, I appreciate that. I really do. Shall we proceed with just a little commentary here on the seismic? We're in a seismic cycle, guys. We all know this. We've been talking about this like crazy.
It kind of fits to what you were saying last time about the difference between a watchman and somebody who's just reporting the news or trying to catch on to the algorithm. This gentleman here, I think he does an excellent job explaining what's about to happen, and he believes it about as much as Abraham and I, that we're about to go through some really crazy times with earthquakes around the entire, really around the entire Earth. I don't want to use the word globe because it's not really what it is, but that's what everybody thinks. But it's around the world. It's going to happen. So yeah, go ahead, Abraham.
Now, I just want to let you guys know the entire country of Ecuador, the grid is completely down. They have a complete blackout in Ecuador, and it's a chaos there. That's the reason for this video. Would it happen elsewhere? Absolutely. Folks, I've been talking about this binary system for many, many, many years, okay? Not a lot on my social media page, especially TikTok, is quite new for a lot of people. But every couple of thousand years, a second sun with 7 planets, 4 moons interact with our solar system. We live in a binary solar system. We have 2 suns, not 1, 2. We have a bigger sun, as I said, 7 planets, 4 moon. The other planetary system, the other binary system, sorry, it's with the planets, it's now interacting with our solar system. That's the reason for the electromagnetic disturbance, and that is the reason for the earthquakes. I'm trying to do this video, wrap it up as quick as possible.
Did you want to pause it there, brother? Or I don't know if you have comments already.
That's fine. You know, the reason I think that's important to look at is because everyone, you know, that you read the comments, especially from Friday, a lot of people think we're crazy kooks that believe in stuff that is not published in the science books that you learned about in school. But look at this gentleman. I mean, he seems very credible, and he seems like he really knows what he's talking about, and he kind of does. I mean, he understands that there's some seismic events that are about to happen, and he understands that there is a binary sun in our solar system. But what's interesting about that is wait till you get into the Freemason explanation of this. We're going to get into that, and it's going to really blow your mind.
Yeah, man. And I just want to say, again, you know, I can already feel it. I can feel the indignation, the pharisaical indignation from some people, right? Hopefully it's not you if you're watching this, but there's nothing wrong with gleaning, right? This is why a lot of God's people, they have peanut-sized brains when they should be open to learning different perspectives from different people. But I don't know. I feel like in religious circles, especially the religious circles that I grew up in, it's like it's almost shameful or seen as wrong if you investigate other people's worldviews. And that's not to say be King Solomon about it and go all in with Baal worship and all this nonsense. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you can glean. It's called gleaning the fields, right? Everybody has something you can learn from. So you can always learn something from somebody out there. And this particular guy, I forget his name, Nick McCoy, I think is, or something like that. He's not a believer in Christ, but why is it that he has more wisdom about the seismic cycles than like 99% of pastors and churches out there? Like, think about what I'm trying to tell you. Like, some people receive wisdom on things. They may have missed their calling. Yeah, maybe they missed their calling and they're not following Christ. But I'm telling you, they have they have some nuggets of truth in there. And so that's why we're bringing this video. And like Jeff said, but there's more to the equation to consider. Do you want to get into the binary system that this guy's talking about? Because actually there's a lot of validity to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Most people don't realize when you look at that eclipse what we're really looking at. But when you go and look at the Freemason explanation for what the world really is and how it's created, you're going to see it right here, guys. That is the UN map. If you really want to get technical, it's the entire every continent put on a flat plane like a CD, and you'll see directly in the center you got the trioidal field, and that is the firmament. As above, so below. So you'll have another firmament below. You have magnetic north, and that is actually the center of the world or the earth. Most people look at it as a North Pole because that's what we were taught in school. You know, the North Pole has a 66.6 degrees. All that numerology is baked right into the heliocentric model of the universe, and the people who brought it to you believe in this. They don't believe in the heliocentric model. As you scroll down, you'll see how the black sun actually orbits below and not above. And where does that black sun come from? Let's think about how the Earth works. How does the sun and moon traverse the Earth? Does the sun rise in the east, sets in the west? Have we heard this before? The Earth and moon, the Earth, sun, and moon, they traverse the Earth in an eastern, western direction, just like the black sun. And the sun below, the black sun, has light that shines directly with that light that goes directly through the center. And it shows you the axis of the moon phases from refraction caused from the light below penetrating through the center of the North Pole, they say, and it reflects off the firmament and bounces back, creating refraction. And that creates the sun and also the moon and its plasma. One is a indigo light, which is the moon, it's plasma. And then the other sun is a direct light, and that's why it's a different kind of light. But this black sun is worshipped in the occult, and I don't know if you guys have heard songs from Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. Why don't you go back and look at that song, listen to it. As you see, the black sun moving below has an orbit that isn't consistent. It changes over time. And as it gets closer to the Earth, it does different things to our magnetic field. But as you can see, when the lights come up through the firmament, and you now see these X's that are created, very similar to the double helix DNA strand structure. You'll see that symbolism a lot. You'll also see a pyramid structure form. And you think, where did the aliens come up with the pyramid? You know, Elon Musk said aliens created the pyramid. Well, maybe ancient knowledge was given from the fallen. And you can see that Pink Floyd symbol on the right. That's what that comes from. See, the occult knows. And all of these bands that we grew up listening to, our fathers grew up listening to, all had this ancient knowledge. Soundgarden, all had this ancient knowledge. It's refraction of cosmic energy. It works like refraction from these that are close. As they get closer, the phases of the moon, you can see how the relation between the constellations is different between the sun and the moon and the phases. It's all created from refraction from the firmament and cosmic energy from below on the black sun, penetrating through the center of the Earth, what we call the North Pole. And around all of that is an ice wall. And around that ice wall, beneath it, trapped Leviathan, the Ouroboros. And we'll get into the Theosophical Society, which was formed in 1875, that takes this information. Go ahead and scroll down a little more, Abraham, when you get a chance, because you'll see the pyramid structures form, and then you can start to see how the six-pointed star was taken from this. Two pyramids upside down, as above, so below. That's the six-pointed star of Remphan. That's what it comes from. It comes from the black sun. The black sun comes from Satan himself, the fallen angel. It's all from refraction. You cannot walk on the moon. There's a scientist that broke this before the moon landing. When they were talking about taking astronauts to the moon, and they were bringing it up, I could actually find the clip and post it in the comments here. There's a scientist that said this a long time ago, and he figured it out that the moon was actually made of plasma. And he said they'll never actually walk on the moon because it's impossible. You can't walk on plasma.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less, than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know that we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature of what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen. Not on the moon. No.
And that's an actual scientist from the 50s that worked out of California, the University of California. There's an interview. You can just Google it. All you have to do is go on YouTube, actually, and just type in the moon is plasma, and you'll see that there's a professor, a PhD level professor, that broke that story wide open years ago, and no one ever talked about it because obviously they were trying to cover that up. But this is fascinating stuff. I mean, you can actually Google this as well. You know, you can go to YouTube and type in, if you want to see the video itself, for your, in different versions of it. You can see another whiteboard where a Freemason rabbi actually draws it on a whiteboard, and he can show you exactly how they come up with the phases of the moon and where the northern lights come from. It actually comes from the black sun coming up through the North Pole. And that's why it creates the green shadowy effect that you see behind in the background, which is actually just bent light from the firmament from below. That's actually energy from the black sun. This is actually what the Freemasons believed that created your textbooks. The Jesuits created a learning style called learning against learning, and the efforts were to hide God from you so that you could not see what was right before your eyes. That everything Genesis said in the Bible, and the King James 1611 Bible is absolutely 100% truth. And as we said, we were going to deliver you the truth and nothing but the truth, whether you wanted to, laugh at this or not. This is not something I came up with. This isn't my information that I made up just to, make a fool of myself. I'm not sitting here trying to be famous. I'm not interested in, but somebody has to put this information out there. It's being hidden. Steve Quayle's not talking about it. The Health Ranger isn't talking about it. Everyone's stuck in this delusion that Donald Trump's going to come back and save us. And it's really Yeshua that people should be waiting for. But it's the return of Trump that everybody's looking for right now. And everyone's lost because they don't understand. He is the controlled opposition. We have the opposition of mankind, the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, and then you have the controlled opposition of mankind. But they eat out of the same hand. They're fed by the same corrupt power that gave you the heliocentric model of the universe to keep you blind, to keep you wondering where up and down is. And no one's ever seen a satellite image of somebody riding a bicycle upside down. No one's ever seen that. It doesn't exist. And you should be able to see it on a globe if we're on a globe, but it doesn't exist. You cannot find curvature in the earth. You can go on a website and just type in, proof that the curvature of the Earth exists. It's it's 8 inches per mile squared is the actual, it's the actual equation. Type it in the calculator, you're going to come up with another 0.66666. So there again, even the curvature in the Earth is wrong, and any pilot can tell you. If you look at his manual, the plane manufacturers will tell everybody that you have to assume you're flying over a flat plane. You cannot account for curvature when you're flying an aircraft without crashing it or stalling it out one way or the other. So that's why it's called an airplane. And look at the people who have traversed the Earth and say, I flew around the world in 80 days, or I went on a sailing trip and reached the Antarctica, or I sailed around the world. These people went east to west or west to east. They never went north to south. It's impossible.
Exactly.
That's the key. Same thing with the eclipse. Let me just share something with you very interesting. The eclipse, the moon doesn't travel. Like as we said before, it doesn't travel from south to north. But what happened on April 8th? April 8th, it went from south to north. Somehow the moon cast a shadow over the United States in a south to north direction, while the moon and sun travel east to west or west to east, depending on the perspective of the observer. Doesn't make any sense that it was the moon that created the shadow. So what was it?
Something else had to create the shadow. Something else had to do it, guys. This is impossible. You can't get these patterns with east to west traveling bodies of light only. Many people have talked about this on TikTok. I've seen people that they're not even believers. They're secular people. They're like,
you and I are idiots, Abraham. You and I are taking the narrative and running with it and just trying to make ourselves, famous by, I don't know why we would do that. I don't know why we would want to do that. I grew up with the heliocentric model of the universe. So did you, didn't you, Abraham?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we all. And I don't like to share that information because I know what people are going to do. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. But guess what, guys? I'm used to that. I'm used to people looking at me like I'm weird. It's okay with me. I share this information because I think it's important for the truth to be told, and no one seems to want to do that. That's why I admire Abraham. He'll step out there when nobody else will, and he'll say the truth. And that's why I'm standing with you right here, brother. I'm trying to do the same thing.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I put my neck out there so many times. By the way, I just want to give credit to whom credit is due. That video is from a channel called Vibes of Cosmos. It has 99K subs, pretty big channel. He's talking about the black sun and energy refractions. And yes, my friends, the black sun is what we're talking about, is what actually causes solar eclipses. That's actually, it's celestial bodies. I don't necessarily understand it, but they've been caught on camera, guys. This isn't. It's a fact. It's right there. Like
you can see it. You can pull this up on YouTube.
Yeah. This is well, I don't want to play the music because that's copyrighted, but
you could have booked you a flight.
Somebody's on the plane right as a total solar eclipse happened in 2015, and you can see that there are black suns that cause the eclipse. There's about 3 of them there for sure. That's 3 black suns that cause the eclipses. Brother Jeff, what do you have on this, man?
Yeah, go back and look at what they call those. You have southern and northern lunar nodes, and they're called the dragon. And look at it; it kind of looks like a dragon, doesn't it? And think about why they wanted you to look at that April 8th, 2024 eclipse. They really wanted you to pay attention to that. It was probably the most massive media campaign I've seen in quite some time. I don't know if I've ever seen a bigger media campaign for an eclipse. And they did it because they wanted everyone's emotion. They wanted your energy. They wanted you to watch this ritual to help open a portal. This is why they kicked CERN on. If you remember, April 8th, the big story was, we're going to kick CERN on right when the eclipse happens, and we're going to fire. NASA was firing rockets at this thing because it was all a big ritual. A ritual.
It was an occult ritual, guys. That's why
it was.
That's why the YouTube algorithm promoted it. Every single news network in the entire nation promoted it. That's why it was so heavily promoted. Yep.
It was all to get your emotions. It was all to capture your energy. When you looked at that eclipse and you cried or you felt something, that was a piece of you being taken. And they used it to open a portal with CERN, and they fired rockets at it. And right after that happened, something woke up in Antarctica. and an anomaly was caught on radar.
Something woke up after all that earth worship, celestial body worship that the media invoked. It was an energy harvesting event, guys. Let me say it again. It was an energy harvesting event. That's why April 8th was hyped up by the media. October 2023, that wasn't hyped up at all. A partial solar eclipse over the nation, that was not hyped up at all. 2017, that eclipse over the United States, that one wasn't hyped up really a whole lot. But April 8th, they got the whole ceremony ready because the occultists know more Bible than your average Christian, non-denominational person, whatever, evangelical, whatever you want to call them. The occultists know more about the rituals and the energy and everything, that how the universe works, and it's a joke. That's why we're doing this video, to help share the light so people are not deceived by what Satan is doing right now in the earth.
And if you go back just real quick to that thumbnail of Leviathan, I want everyone to look at that for just 1 second, because this is done from Google Earth and it's wrapped around a globe model. And again, there is no such thing. So this is definitely a CGI, not the part of Leviathan's head. It's where it's positioned and how it looks in relation to Antarctica and South America there. What it really is an Ouroboros. As you can see, there's something going in the mouth of Leviathan there, and that's his tail. And so if you have to open your mind a little bit and think a little differently, and you can almost see where the tail is going in the mouth. And that is the Ouroboros found in the Theosophical Society logo. And what's really interesting about this logo, there is no religion higher than truth. All be dog. Look at that. And it's every crazy ancient mysticism symbol all rolled under one ugly flag. You have Hinduism at the top. What is that called, Abraham? That crazy looking writing.
Om.
It's called an Om.
Yeah, it's the Om. Yep.
It's Hindu, is it not?
Hinduism, it's the most sacred symbol of Hinduism. It represents the most spiritually awake state you can be in.
Correct, yeah. The Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, everyone knows what that is. That's Leviathan. You have the swastika right there. Look at that. And this was developed, look at that dates, 1875. That was actually founded in New York City, 1875. That's the Theosophical Society sect in New York City. And this is their logo. And you can see the star of Remphan right in the middle with the Egyptian helioglyph that looks like a cross. It's kind of been used for Christianity. It's used in numerous different cultures, but originally it was an Egyptian cross. And it means life abundant or continuing life force. It's something, mysticism, something like that. And look at the pyramids. You have a solid white pyramid that goes up, which represents the physical realm. And then you have one that's supposed to be identical to it, going directly below, fed off the black sun, which is why it's black, and it's facing down. And that's where the occult gets the phrase, as above, so below. And now you have ancient knowledge from ancient wisdom that has been hidden from you and blinded by the heliocentric model of the universe perpetrated by the Jesuits. And if you look who the Jesuits are, they're the Ashkenazi Jews who became cardinals throughout history, and they infiltrated the Catholic Church. And now you have the false tree of Zechariah, where you have a false Christian church mixed with a false Judaism. It's all Babylonian mysticism. It's all it is. And you've been fooled.
Yeah, brother.
Go ahead, Abraham.
Yeah, there's a reason that Stephen was martyred, guys. It's because he was calling it out just like we're calling it out. That's why Stephen was martyred. Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Ramphan, figures which ye made to worship them. I will carry you away to Babylon, beyond Babylon. Acts 7:43. These were some of Stephen's final words to the Ashkenazi perpetrators of his day, the synagogue of Satan. And he's like, you guys need to get rid of that star. You need to get rid of that thing. You still have that stupid thing. Why do you keep having that star? It's because when they came back from Babylonian captivity, they continued embracing the paganism that King Solomon, with his paganism, had introduced before that. Ultimately, it's the talisman of Saturn, and it's a star that represents a satanic stronghold over the world, hiding the true nature of the universe, only revealing the true nature of the universe and everything else to a select group in the cult. Anything else on that, brother?
No, well said, well said. Just keep in mind, when you see the flag flown over the houses of the Star of Remphan, that's why John the Revelator saw what he saw and called it Mystery Babylon. He noticed that symbol. That was the same ancient Babylonian symbol that everybody has noticed throughout the ages to associate with the devil, the same pagan religion that caused the Israelites to falter and wander the wilderness. It's all the same evil. Honestly, there's nothing more to say about it. If you've given money to this evil, and we all have through our taxes, but if you've supported this lie, that this particular country is not evil, well, it was created by the central bankers, and they believe in this ancient mysticism. They do not believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They believe in their God, which is Moloch or Baal or Baal. This is evil stuff. They've hidden this from you. They are our oligarchs, the ones, our slave captors. We have been fed a lie since we were born. Our fathers were fed lies. If you go back to the Civil War, we were put under a new constitution in the United States. This is all information you can look in the Library of Congress all for yourself. We're under a different constitution. The United States of America is now a corporation, and we're under maritime law with pirates as our captors, and it's the central bankers who have done this to us in conjunction with the royal family. This is evil at its deepest root, and we're here to expose it today. So if you've given money to this, repent, come out of her, do it now.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious that Hagee had a commercial during the recent presidential debate saying, hey, give money to this country, 1948 country, with the star of rampant all over it because you're supporting a good cause. Guys, the symbolism, listen, this is a key verse. I know if you made it this far, you don't really need me to maybe share this with you because you already understand where we're coming from. Psalm 74, verse 4, your enemies roar in the midst of your meeting place, God. They set up their banners for signs. So you should be able to identify the banners of your enemies. You should be able to identify them. This is our bread, to be able to see and understand and discern who is on our side and who is not on our side. Oh, my Lord, Yehovah, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of affliction. The nations, that's all that word means. Okay, I don't like that word, how it's translated, because it's very misleading. The nations shall come to you from the ends of the earth and say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, worthlessness, and unprofitable things. So that prophecy is yet to be fulfilled. We're still in this moment of coming out of her, coming out of Babylon, coming out. We're overcoming Babylon, and that's why thank you, Brother Jeff, so much for coming on, just doing this video. It ended up being a little longer than I anticipated, but I love every moment of this video, man. Thank you.
Yeah, can I just say one thing real quick? I want to say something in defense of Abraham, because he said something on the live that got a lot of attention. Now he's being called a Holocaust denier, and I want to say something about that. It's not about denying the Holocaust. What it's about is the narrative behind it that you've been fed, which is a lie. It's not about denying the Holocaust. It's about the narrative that you were fed. It's no different than October 7th. Go back to The Economist 2012. That rendering of everything that happened with Hamas was right there on the cover of The Economist in 2012. Look it up for yourself. Google it. You'll see the flying kites of people coming in and trying to hurt people. That was also funded by the same evil, and it's orchestrated by the devil. They own your politicians. They put money in their pockets. It doesn't matter who wins these elections. The debate is a clown show. It's a scam. It doesn't matter if they're both eating out of the same hand of Mystery Babylon. You're still captive. You're still a slave. It doesn't matter who wins. This is all a big clown show, and really that's a disservice to working clowns, I have to say. So go ahead, Abraham.
No, I think that's good, man. I think we'll wrap it up here. If you made it this far in the video, appreciate you, and Yeshua be with all you guys, man. I don't know if you have any last closing comments here, brother.
I had a little fire in me today. I love everybody. I'm not here to judge. I understand your opinions. I understand why people hold on to that heliocentric model. I didn't create it. I'm just exposing it for being a lie. So for those of you who want to take shots, just look it up for yourselves. I didn't make it up. Thank you.
Yeah, and check out Rob Skiba's channel. Rob Skiba, there's a lot of good information out there, guys. So, all right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Be blessed, all right?